Woo! Oh my gosh.
The lights are bright.
Welcome to the big city of the Festas.
Oh, yeah.
Bright lights. But you all know Jonathan Hill from our Justice for Change program, and Josh Williams is here representing Everest Discovery. Welcome, y'all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So I have to ask, it's the question we're asking everyone. How are you spending your Benevity gift card?
Take it first.
I'm going to be donating to TXRX Labs, which is a nonprofit makerspace in my backyard of Houston, Texas.
Nice.
Love that. I'm going to be donating to DC Reading Partners. Literacy is becoming a huge topic right now in the academic space, so want to make sure I do my part too.
Okay, wow. That's amazing. Yeah, really great. It's like I want to dive into these charities a bit more, but we've got more to talk about. So maybe there are some of us tuning in live or in our audience. Well, I'm seeing a lot of Relativians, so I hope you all know what Justice for Change is. But for those who might not know, Jonathan, can you give us a quick overview?
Yeah, sure thing. So 3 years ago, Relativity created a program called the Justice for Change program, where after a lot of the civil unrest that was happening through the summer of 2020, we dedicated 100 terabytes of Relativity software to make sure that nonprofit organizations and law firms that are doing pro bono work can get access to Relativity free of charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jonathan, I know that we've talked about this personally, but like Justice for Change means so much to me because before I joined corporate America, I was a social worker and I worked at a domestic violence shelter and I saw all of the hoops that women had to jump through to get legal representation and how even then it broke down. So this means so much to me. But Josh, how did you get involved in Justice for Change?
Yeah, definitely. So we actually got involved. It was brought up to us on our monthly check-in call by our service delivery manager, Melissa Sanborn.
We love Melissa.
Oh, she's great. And so, our organization pretty much immediately said yes to the opportunity. We work with a lot of law firms and law departments, but as a service provider, we don't have as much of an opportunity to participate in things like pro bono. So being able to participate in this program it meant a lot to us, and we were excited to join.
Yeah, I love how it's like immediate, yes.
Blair, can I just add, Josh is being very nice and kind. He's like one of the smartest relativity experts out here in our industry. When we talk about involvement with Justice for Change, I mean, dude, you've been a part of it since the beginning. So you've seen these matters, you've seen these use cases. So thank you.
You're too kind. It's a pleasure to work with you as well, Jonathan. Thank you.
Well, we only bring the biggest and brightest stars to the Festas, so I expect nothing less. But Jonathan and Josh, can you tell me about the organization that you worked with and like how they leveraged Relativity to meet their goals?
Yeah, so it's actually interesting that you talk about some of your passions for Justice for Change. Organization that comes to mind, Child Justice in Maryland that Everest is supporting. They focus on child abuse and domestic violence. And when we got their application about leveraging Relativity for one of their cases, I mean, Everest not only came to mind as the right organization, but we also are a little bit nervous, right? When you think about some of the types of cases we're seeing, these are touchy subjects.
Absolutely.
So we want to make sure they have the right people, the right team, and the right technology. So we reached out to Everest and said, hey, we have this organization. They're doing amazing work. Would you be willing to take this on? And obviously, without a doubt, they said yes, and also had a win out of the program, too.
Yeah, definitely. So it was really great being able to work with Child Justice, and we treated them like we would any other client. So at the beginning of the project, along with Jonathan, we worked with Child Justice to kind of define the needs of their project and then come up with a solution that was going to best meet those needs. So one standout application that we used in this project that's completely underrated is case dynamics, right? The team was able to go through the process of quickly organizing all of the facts and issues with their case and then creating a chronology of events that was really able to kind of streamline how fast they're able to create their case strategy. So that was a huge win. I think they mentioned that they were able to reduce their timeline by half?
Yeah, what was it, 18 months to 6? And again, I think that when we talk about the stakes of our recipients of Justice for Change, they're just so high. We're talking about young people being protected. We're talking about people's lives oftentimes being lost, yet alone, or being, still not necessarily valued, being people that are currently incarcerated. So we want to make sure that no matter where you are on the spectrum, if you deserve access to justice, that Relativity plays its role and make sure that you get it.
Yeah, and so often access to justice is really tied up in connections and money. And a lot of these vulnerable populations don't have access to either. So I think it's so important that we're doing this. Josh, something you said that really stuck with me is how these organizations react to getting this tech, right? So could you tell us a little bit about how excited they were to work with Relativity?
I mean, we've been a part of 2 Justice for Change projects at this point. And both teams were not only grateful to have access to Relativity, but also a team of subject matter experts that know how to leverage the technology.
Yeah.
And so overall, I mean, it was a great experience being able to work with the case teams, and you could really tell how high the stakes were in a lot of these cases, and how big of an impact that they were going to have, and how grateful the teams were to be able to access both the technology and the professional services.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the norm, right? That a lot of these nonprofit organizations, they don't have enough personnel to take on a lot of the litigation. I mean, we're talking about teams of 3 to 4. Like, that's what child justice is.
We
when
had
talk
one
about
at Middleway House. We had one paralegal that was helping us.
But they're still taking on, right, these incredible cases, or they're partnering with our law firms that are customers of Relativity. So when you talk about, again, why we are meeting the people where they are, that's why. Because we don't want these organizations to feel that, oh my gosh, this mountain is too tall for me to climb. No, it's not. Relativity has a role to play. Or many of these law firms that are doing pro bono work, we don't want them to stop doing pro bono. We want them to do more.
Yeah.
So if we can allow you to reduce costs through Justice for Change, I think that's a win for everybody on the board, but also organizations like Child Justice or the Innocence Project or Promise of Justice or any of these law firms that are doing pro bono work. Again, thank you, and continue to leverage and choose Relativity to do that amazing work.
Jonathan, I know you sit under HR, but you should say marketing, because speaking of mountain, Everest Discovery, something I love that you said, Josh, is that you were like, we provide everyone with like the same level of service as if they were a client. I feel that so often when we're working with non-for-profits, short end of the stick, it's like you're getting donated time, so it's going to be from 10 to 11 on Wednesday. So I love that you're prioritizing giving them that experience. But Josh, why should organizations get involved in Justice for Change, right?
I mean, why shouldn't they? It's a great opportunity to have a real impact, and I think that you should take every chance that you have to make an impact on some of these organizations. It's not often that people are coming out of the woods to ask for help from e-discovery experts. So when they make that call, you really need to answer it.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing.
I gotta laugh a little bit there, because I also think that, right, our clients, what they're dealing with, it's data breaches, it's compliance, these huge, excuse my language, non-sexy litigation cases. But when we talk about access to justice in nonprofits, I mean, again, we're talking about abuse. We're talking about, misconduct that's happened, particularly in groups that we care a lot about. So I think that, one, everybody feels like they have some skin in the game in Justice for Change. Like, all of our customers, like, why wouldn't we do this? But I think also for Relativians, they take pride in it as well. So whether you're serving on a review committee, I think it's important that every employee feels like they're touching it, they're a part of this. This isn't a Jonathan program or a social impact program. It's not even an Everest program. It's all of our programs. Like, that's what our industry can and should be doing.
Wow. Hill for President.
Stop.
2030? I don't know. Wow, I feel very inspired. That's amazing. But Jonathan, if someone's interested and they're like, I would like to get involved, how would they do that in Justice for Change?
Well, hopefully we keep it simple. If you're a Relativity customer, please reach out to us at socialimpact@relativity.com. Ask your rep, how can we get involved or connected to the social impact team? But two, if you're a law firm that's doing pro bono work, if it's currently in Relativity, reach out. Ask us how we can make sure that you're able to continue that amazing work while leveraging Relativity One free of cost. Or if you're a service provider and you're like, gosh, we don't have a pro bono initiative, but we don't know what to do next. We want to get started. Reach out. I think oftentimes, particularly in our industry, it's like, gosh, I don't have these big resources. I don't have 50 people to dedicate. All it takes is one. And you're literally looking at an example of that. One person being able to spend 1 hour with one of these organizations, I promise you your organization will be better than it is yesterday. But I also think that that's why Relativity is better than what we were 3 years ago.
Definitely. And it's just so empowering to hear you both speak about something, because so often when we're in the day-to-day and we're in Excel, you can kind of zoom out and be like, man, I'm plugging away on a floating rock. What am I doing with my life? No one else? Just me? Sorry. Oh, okay, I have a hand raised, thank God. But when I have moments like that, when I'm like, what am I doing? It's really nice to touch grass, as they say, and remember that we're making such an impact and working with such amazing people like you, Josh.
Oh, thanks so much.
Yeah, of course.
It's been a pleasure to work with the team.